Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. I know you were probably expecting a live stream this week, and I was hoping to do one as well, but alas, I am away from home. I am in Florence in Italy, and we are staying in an Airbnb, and the internet is not exactly ideal. So rather than having to deal with the frustration of like you not seeing me properly, I thought I'd just do a recorded video instead for this week's update. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorites, Jupiter, the great benefic. I know this is a very, very strange time. I actually recommend that you watch first and foremost before watching this, if you haven't seen it yet. Watch my September horoscope to see what the overall energy is like for you, because this update is going to be focused on Jupiter more for the 4 months ahead rather than specifically for what's happening now this month in the moment. So what is going on, and what does the great benefic have in store for us for the 4 months ahead? Well, almost 4 months. So Jupiter is currently in Capricorn. The great benefic, the bestower of abundance and opportunities, has entered Capricorn last year in December, on the 2nd of December, and it is going to be staying in Capricorn till the 19th of December this year. And on the 21st of December, as you may have already heard a lot of astrologers talk about it, Jupiter and Saturn are coming together in a great conjunction. But we're going to talk about that when the time comes. Now I'm interested in us talking about Jupiter in Capricorn. So Jupiter has been in retrograde motion since May, and it's going to go direct in the sign of Capricorn on the 13th of September, and it's going to move in direct motion till it goes out of Capricorn on the 19th of December. Now we're going to go through what this Jupiterian energy and what this influx of energy is going to bring in the life of all 12 astrological signs, and I do urge you to listen to your rising sign as well, because in forecasting astrology and personalized readings, which are the most accurate types of readings that you can get in astrology, the rising sign is essentially where your natal chart starts. So that's why it is so important to know what your natal chart looks like, and also more specifically what your rising sign is, because you're going to find that those updates, those horoscopes, those forecasts are likely to be a lot more accurate if you listen to your rising sign. Now, Jupiter in Capricorn is in its fall. Jupiter doesn't really feel at home in Capricorn, and I will tell you why. Because Jupiter is, in its symbolism, the planet of abundance, the planet of prosperity, the planet of expansion, of growth, of no limits, of like covering everything. That is the Jupiterian way of trying to cover as much as possible, of expanding as much as possible. And in general, whatever Jupiter touches in transit or in your natal chart, it puts a focus on it and it expands it, it magnifies that specific energy. Now, Capricorn is the sign of worldly material limitations and restrictions. It is the sign associated with responsibility. It is the sign associated with contraction rather than growth. So you can probably see why there is a bit of a clash between the energy of the planet and the sign that it is placed in. It's no wonder that Jupiter is in its fall in traditional astrology in the sign of Capricorn. However, it is what it is, as I like to call it. We have to face it, so we might as well know how to make the most of Jupiter's energy in Capricorn. Jupiter generally expands things. It also brings a big picture approach to the table. Jupiter is also the planet of understanding, of wisdom, of having experienced things and now being able to share them and teach them. Jupiter is also a preacher. So Jupiter can take a very moralistic view upon things. Generally, if we're looking at the light side of Jupiter, the more positive side of Jupiter, Jupiter brings knowledge and understanding, as well as abundance of whatever sign it touches or whatever part of your chart it touches. Jupiter in Capricorn is, if we're using keywords, is going to be big on taking responsibility, is going to be big on maturity and taking a sober approach to life, an approach that is focused on, and that is taking into account the various restrictions and limitations that we are facing. No wonder that we've been in lockdown with Jupiter in Capricorn this year, because Jupiter expands restrictions in the sign of Capricorn. Jupiter in Capricorn also brings with it maturity that comes from experience, maturity that comes from hard work. And it also brings, I dare say, an abundance of hard work. It also shines a light on tradition, because Capricorn is the sign that is associated with tradition. So this is a year up until Jupiter gets out of Capricorn and it goes into Aquarius, in which there will be a light shown on why have things always been done this way. There will be a lens of understanding on the ways of the status quo, on the ways of it's always been like this, on the restrictions and limitations that come with the law, because Capricorn and Jupiter are also representative, both of them, of the law. Jupiter is concerned with the moral aspects of laws, so this is actually a year to really think about the morality and the moral basis of systems, of political systems, actually, in general. And Capricorn is the sign that applies the law. They are the authorities in general. So we're not going to spend too much time talking about the collective feel of Jupiter and Capricorn, because I do want to bring a new perspective, I hope, that is going to help you more on an individual level. So yes, it is absolutely of great importance to understand the wider ecosystem of why these things are happening out into the world and what they all mean, especially with Jupiter coming together with Pluto in a conjunction multiple times this year, in April, in June, and now once again on the 12th of November, when coming together with the planet of death and rebirth, which is Pluto, Jupiter basically expands the potential of transformation of laws, of traditions, of the status quo, of the political class, of the clergy, of religion, because Jupiter rules all of these things, of higher education, of our approach to morals and beliefs and faith and personal life philosophy. And we will all, as a society, with Jupiter coming together with Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, experience a complete death and rebirth of all of these things that I've mentioned, from political class, from existing legal systems, from the educational systems, from moral underlying beliefs at the basis of societal laws. So it's exciting. What can I say? It's the end of an era and it's the beginning of a new one. But on an individual level, my lovelies, let's talk about what Jupiter in Capricorn can bring in terms of opportunity for you on a personal, in a personal sphere. It's very easy to forget in the midst of these very strange times that Jupiter is ultimately the great benefic. And even if it shines a light on things that are painful this year, and they are, and it's doing that, Jupiter is essentially the planet of opportunity and good luck. So I know I'm probably gonna get some pushback on that. I mean, especially if you listen to other astrologers, and especially those who veer more towards the doom and gloom side of things. It's easy to forget that in the midst of the greatest challenges, in the midst of the destruction of existing systems, there are always opportunities to rise again. And it's actually very easy to overlook these because we can be so focused on the negatives. We can be so pulled in by the news, by what's being told in the media, by fear, by attachment to the way it was, by attachment to the existing state of things. And actually, if we do that, and if we are attached, and if we remain kind of like focused on these aspects of what's going on, it can be incredibly easy to miss the big opportunities that Jupiter is opening the door to for each and every one of us. So, my dear Aries, you've got 4 months left of Jupiter in Capricorn. Jupiter is transiting at the moment through your 10th house, the 10th house of career, of public status, of public reputation. And up until the end of the year, it's going to be squaring Mars in your first house. What does that mean? It means that this is the year, my dear Aries, to really step up from a career perspective. It is the year in which, yes, you may be very much hit by events that seem outside of your control in a career sector, but at the same time, that is opening up the opportunity for you to step up to the next level and to turn this strange turn of events into your favor and get a bigger gig, get a better job, try out from a career perspective, from a professional perspective, take a risk and try out a career path that you haven't had the chance to do before. And it's like, you know what, there's nothing left to lose. It's like, it's now or never. The time is now. Do take that opportunity and do take a personal risk when it comes to your career path, Aries, because by the end of the year, you will already most likely congratulate yourself for how things have turned out. Now, if you are a Taurus sun or a Taurus rising, you've got 4 months left of Jupiter transiting through your 9th house, squaring Mars in your 12th house of the subconscious. What does that mean? You've got 4 months left up until the 19th of December, my dear Taurus, in which I recommend that you take a very sober overview of your priorities in life, of your personal life philosophy, of your belief system, and have a good long think about what is no longer serving you. What are you attached to from a belief system point of view, from a priorities point of view, from a life philosophy point of view, and realize, actually, I've outgrown this old belief system. And until you acknowledge that and until you move on from that, you might be feeling very anxious. You might be feeling quite depressed. You might actually be feeling like the world is against you, and it's not, I'm telling you, Taurus. But it's time to broaden your view of the world. Now, my lovely Gemini suns and Gemini risings, you've got 4 months left of Jupiter transiting through your 8th house, squaring Mars in the 11th house. You have 4 months left until the 19th of December to look your fears in the eyes and say, what can I learn from you? How can I understand you better? Where do I need to transform myself in terms of facing my blockages, my mental, psychological blockages? And what are the parts in my life that seem outside of my control, and maybe they are outside of my control, that I need to come to terms with and that I need to accept that I need help with? That is the opportunity that Jupiter in Capricorn through your 8th house is bringing for you, Geminis. Now, if you are a Cancer sun or Cancer rising, you have 4 months left of Jupiter going through your 7th house, Cancerians. So, this is actually squaring Mars in your 10th house. It looks like you are being called and you have the opportunity to work towards something greater, something long-lasting, something durable with your partner. So this is the time, and you've got 4 months left of it, to commit to a partner and to stay committed and to realize that the work that you are putting into your partnership is likely to pay off for decades to come, my lovely Cancerians. It's time to work for something greater, for something bigger together. And it's also time to really try to put yourself into your partner's shoes and really understand where they are coming from in terms of life priorities and in terms of belief system and in terms of cultural affinity, I would say. Now, it's also very possible, if you haven't met your long-term committed partner yet, my dear Cancer, that you are called to go out into the world, regardless of what's happening around you, regardless of what's happening in your career, regardless of what's happening out into the world. It is still time for you to go out there into the world and meet your partner, because there are opportunities for partnerships. And not just romantic partnerships, business partnerships as well. If you feel like there's something in your career that you want to do, and you are most likely feeling that, Cancer, and you can't do it on your own, you're likely going to have to accept that you need the help of a partner. And that partner is waiting for you out there. It's just a matter of you acknowledging it and going out and being open about partnering up. Now, if you are a Leo sun or a Leo rising, you have 4 months left of Jupiter going through the 6th house. Dear God, Leo, this is your time to take on new opportunities at work. This is your time to really immerse yourself in work, because it's going to pay off tremendously, both from a money perspective, from an income perspective, and also from a knowledge perspective. So yes, you will most likely be stretched. I do recommend that you dedicate yourself to your work, and I do recommend that you save time for your work and that you do not get frustrated by the fact that you might not have as much time as you've had in the past for like spending time with friends and family and going out or whatnot, because this is really the time for you to become the expert at what you do. The 6th house is a house of apprenticeship. So this is the time to learn through experience, and boy, are you gonna learn a lot, my lovely Leos. Now, if you are a Virgo sun or a Virgo rising, you have 4 months left of Jupiter going through your 5th house. This is a time, and you've got 4 months left of it, to take responsibility for your loved ones and to take responsibility for your love life as well, my dear Virgo, and to I've written in my notes, to dare to play the game of life. What do you enjoy doing? What brings you happiness and joy, and what makes your heart flutter, Virgo? Well, it is time to dive into that. It is time to find an outlet for your creative passions in your life. It's also a time, by the way, if we've got, and I know we have a lot of creative Virgos out there, Virgo suns and Virgo risings, it is time to give in the next 4 months, to give a solid, tangible shape to your creativity. You are called to create something that the world can see and touch and feel and look at from a creative perspective, my dear Virgo. And it's time to get over your creative blockages. I know there's a lot of perfectionists out there, Virgos. I wonder who those might be. It's time to get over the fears of like, I'm not good enough, I'm not there yet, I'm working on my portfolio. No, it's time to actually start creating, because you will not get Jupiter coming through this house of creativity for another 11 years. So do you want to wait for like another 11 years to create your best creative work? I think not. My dear Libras, Libra suns and Libra risings out there, you have Jupiter going through Capricorn for another 4 months up until mid-December through your 4th house of home, family, living situation, and it looks like you are going to be called for to take responsibility and to take the bull by the horns, as they say, or the goat by the horns, because hey, Capricorn, when it comes to your living situation. If there is anything that is bothering you about your living situation, if you have been feeling particularly oppressed, if you have been feeling particularly challenged, it's time for you to go out into the world, because Jupiter is the world. It's expansion and it's society. Jupiter actually governs society in mundane astrology. And look for opportunities on how you can improve your living situation. It may be a case of having to renovate your home. It may be a case of having to look for a new home and buy a new home. And if you are on the lookout for a new home, for a new residence, you will most likely receive a great deal of support from people in authority, because Jupiter in Capricorn is support from people in authority. It's also very likely that you will be needed by a parent, and that you'll have to somehow take responsibility for a parent and dedicate yourself to them for the next 4 months, and be the one who is bringing the positivity and the optimism in their life. And last but not least, there is a negotiation happening between you and a partner in regards to your living situation, or you may have felt like you haven't necessarily received the support that you wanted in order to transform your home life in the way that you wanted to from a partner. And it's time to really outlay the practical steps that you can take in order to make this work, because Jupiter in Capricorn is big on practicality. So there's no point in crying over spilt milk or in feeling sorry for whatever's happening, because yes, there have been like restraints and constrictions and most likely like tangible challenges in the area of home and family. Make a plan and start thinking about how you can put that plan into action, Libra. Now, if you are a Scorpio sun or a Scorpio rising, my lovelies, you have 4 months left of Jupiter going through your 3rd house, and it's squaring Mars in the 6th house up until the 19th of December. You have the responsibility, my dear Scorpio, for the next, for what's left of Jupiter in Capricorn in your 3rd house, to learn to communicate better. You also have the responsibility to learn a practical, tangible skill that you can apply in your day-to-day life, because you will most likely be faced with restrictions and limitations because you do not have a certain skill. So Jupiter in Capricorn wants you to like take action and develop yourself in a very practical way, develop a certain skill in your life in a very practical way that you can apply in your day-to-day work. And last but not least, how well are you with connecting with people and communicating with people and building a network? You might find that actually there can be quite a few doors that are shut to you in terms of like work and day-to-day opportunities because you don't have those connections yet. So start building those connections. Find a group, find a community, find a Facebook group. Start chatting to people. Start sharing what you do. Start sharing your opinions, and people will start opening doors for you. But it will require work, Scorpio, I am not gonna lie. Now, if you are a Sagittarius sun or a Sagittarius rising, you have 4 months left of Jupiter going through your 2nd house. And Jupiter is squaring Mars in the 5th house of fun and creativity and love and romance. So I gotta tell you this, Sagittarians, by mid-December, until like Jupiter goes out of Capricorn and is no longer squaring Mars, there won't be that much time for fun for you, and you might feel frustrated at times. Or conversely, you might be a little bit distracted and spend too much time having fun rather than focusing on achieving long-term financial security and stability for yourself. So you have 4 months left to really put in the work to achieve a stable and big source of, in fact, source of income for you, and like substantial source of income for you, and to plan for the long term. So get very, I would say, organizational and very, I don't want to call it cautious, because like how can you be cautious? You're Sagittarius after all. But start thinking in the long run rather than thinking short term, and rather than thinking about experiences in the now, especially when it comes to your financial independence and your sources of income. And yeah, it ain't gonna be that fun, but it's gonna play out beautifully for you if you do it with the long term in mind, Sagittarius. Now, if you are a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn rising, you have 4 months left of Jupiter going through your own sign. What does that mean? It means that this is your time to embrace becoming the boss, becoming the leader, becoming the expert at whatever it is that you do in your life. And also of taking a wiser and a more generous approach to life, and looking at life through a lens of potential and growth rather than of challenges and constraints and restrictions and limitations. You've learned so much since December 2017, Capricorns. It is time to realize that you are now actually the authority. You are now actually the wise one, and it's time to start sharing your experience with the world. And it's time to start thinking about growth rather than focus on the pressure that is on your shoulders, my dear Capricorn. Now, if you are an Aquarius sun or an Aquarius rising, it looks like you have 4 months left of Jupiter opening the door for you and giving you the opportunity to become the expert on spirituality and on spiritual matters, and to really make peace with the shadow side, to really embrace spending time by yourself, to really embrace spending time on your own and coming to terms with what's happening inside of you, and to understand yourself much, much better, to understand your psyche a lot better. And you seem to be able to do that while spending time away from others and spending time with yourself. It is a time of enlightenment. It's a time when you will most likely, for the months ahead, find a very kind of like solid framework that you can apply to your beliefs, to your connection with the source, with the other dimensions, with higher realms. And you will realize, actually, you are going to be called, because Jupiter is going to be squaring by the end of the year Mars in your third house of the communication. You are going to be called to find a way to share this enlightenment process that you have gone through. And my lovely Piscean suns and Pisces risings, you have 4 months left of Jupiter going through your 11th house of hopes, dreams, aspirations, and long-term plans. This is a time to dream big. Yes, you are most likely limited by current resources, so maybe you don't have the money yet to put your plans into action, but Jupiter wants you to take like a broad, a big picture approach when it comes to your long-term plans. And it wants you to come up with big plans and with big dreams, because only when you allow yourself to dream big will the right people and the right resources open up to you. If you limit yourself and you contract yourself in terms of plans and dreams and aspirations, obviously the universe is not just going to bestow upon your lap. It's like, oh, like you never thought you'd be able to do this. Well, here you go. No, like you're going to have to start feeling that you can do it, that the universe is on your side, and to start kind of like thinking about the practical, tangible steps that you can take. Yes, you might not have all the resources yet, but also Jupiter is going to open up doors for you in terms of people who are aligned with your plans, with your dreams. There will be friends at every step of the way who want to help you fulfill your dreams. So don't be afraid to dream big, and don't be afraid to engage others in your dreams as well, my dear Pisces. So I hope this Jupiter and Capricorn update has been helpful and insightful, folks. Thank you once again for joining me. If you are interested in getting a more granular overview of what's happening in your life for the months and for the year ahead, you can reach out to me and book a yearly forecast from my website. This is the most accurate type of prediction because it is based on your natal chart, so on your personal snapshot of the sky at the time when you were born. And you can also ask me specific questions about the year ahead if you have any. So please feel free to get in touch anytime. Thank you once again for joining, and stay tuned. I'm gonna see how I can film my next video for next week. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook, I am at Rux Unbelievable in one word. On Facebook, I'm Written in the Stars by Rux. So you can also follow me on those channels to see what else is coming up, because that's where I usually announce upcoming videos and live streams. And you can also see what I'm up to in my day-to-day life. Have a lovely rest of the week, folks, and I will see you soon. Bye.